It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam Longe. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great.
Okay, so on Friday, Nima invited me to a dinner that was hosted by Alara, and it was for the Muslim, no, not Muslim, the hijabi community, so ladies that wear hijab, and all the influencers in that community. So it's not my story to tell. Me, I just follow to eat food. But I've just always been a huge fan of Alara. So when I heard she was invited, I was like, Nima, please carry me with you. And so we went, we enjoyed the fashion that was displayed, all the different artwork displayed. We met a few of the artists as well. Beautiful. We had this really lovely gourmet dinner.
Oh, nice.
Northern vibe food. But, you know, gourmet style was so lovely. Left with goodie bags. We had a good time, yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm sure Nima will tell you even more, because we had days and days and days of activities that I didn't
fantastic.
go for.
So happy for her. I'm really hoping for a longer relationship with both her and the brand.
We talked with Rennie Falawio, and we invited her over. She's like, oh, I'm shy, but we'll see.
I like the idea of opening a new market, or not a new market, recognizing a viable market and highlighting them, because the hijabi market is a viable market, and many people don't see the opportunity in relating, because I would like to be identified. I can buy your piece and combine, but when you make a piece that you thought about someone that dresses like me, then there's a connection that you thought about me, and it's something companies need to do.
It's hot cake. I just can't say much because it's not for me. It's for Nima to say.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I spent my Saturday in like a mini boot camp, self-organized. So I'd paid for this course that I had paid for since last year, and I've not done it. So on Saturday, I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to just sit down, carrying my laptop upstairs, bring it downstairs, but I am in class, taking notes, and I really enjoyed it. Knowledge never gets old, because this program was actually recorded like 7 years ago, but the person is still selling it, and I'm still getting value, and it just shows the power of
information.
My book. I didn't plan to connect it, but it just had a flow. So I just felt, let me just let people know my book is out. But really, I'm grateful.
We debuted it on Friday, but...
Yeah.
It did? Oh my God, where have I been?
You were not around now.
On Friday.
Friday.
Oh, on
That's
TV?
your day.
Yeah.
And I'm very particular about book covers. It attracts me. Once I see your book cover and I love it, I want to read it. I don't care what's in the book.
Oh,
but this is really lovely.
Yellow grabs you, eh?
I'm telling you.
Hello, Abigail, in the building. Good to see you.
Yeah, the first time I was here, you were not here.
Yes. Good to have you on.
Yeah, me too. Good to be here. Good morning, viewers.
What happened over the weekend?
I just had to give myself the rest because I had a very stressful last week. So on Sunday, most of my Sundays, I make sure I wake up at 10, 11. Nobody disturbs me. I make sure my phones are on silent. Yeah. Anybody who wants to reach you, people who are close to me know that don't talk to her until she talks to you on Sundays. But that's it. But today, I'm actually celebrating someone's birthday. She never likes celebrating, but I just want to do this to make her feel loved and appreciated. Abimbola Ifayefumi, today is her birthday, so I'm wishing her everything beautiful today.
Ada's birthday is today too.
Oh,
Ada, our makeup artist. Ada, happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Ada.
So my own, I had an Aburu whose birthday was on Saturday. Nicola. She was 35 years old on Saturday. Happy birthday, my darling sister. She's in Akure. She also works in Adaba FM. I was so happy to celebrate with her. It's a fantastic thing to be happy to celebrate your 35th birthday. I remember when I was 35, it was a big deal.
It was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Not that long. Not that long. Happy birthday to Monicola. Also, thanks to RCCG, I was invited over to camp. It was a huge audience. I was so overwhelmed by the people, but it was really exciting. And for some reason, I found my rhythm properly. Usually, I don't like speaking. I really personally don't like, because I believe I'm a shy person. I don't like to be on stage. You know, so whenever they invite me for speaking engagement, I'm like, oh my goodness, you always assume I'm a TV presenter. You always assume I can speak. I don't want to speak. But I think for the first time in a very long time, Saturday I felt good. Maybe because I actually prepared well, and I was really ready for that conversation. And then there was somebody talked on nation building. the speaker before me spoke on nation building. And he said some things that, oh my God, I didn't even realize how passionate I was. My own thing, I dropped my own, and I just started nation building. You know,
What were you supposed to talk? What were you?
I was supposed to talk on leveraging your social connections, which I still did, but I talked a bit on nation building. I didn't realize how passionate I was.
The next time, please,
nation building, I think.
Very important.
Because what happened was that...
Very important.
Yeah, what happened was that there was a conversation. So his presentation was, it starts with leadership. It goes to that. There are several stages, and then it ends with civic engagement. And I said, no, sir, I'm going to flip that over. We're going to flip it over where we're starting with civic engagement. We must go back to who we are. Farmers. Engage each other. It's when you do that, you now begin to build the leader, because we're looking for a Messiah. The Messiah is not going to come from anywhere. So we build up that we now get the Messiah eventually. But, you know, it's just very interesting. Okay, let's go on a break. And we come back, we look at the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with the nation. IOC's frustrating rollout of petrol, says Dangote Refinery. Rivers Council workers plan protest over police presence. Alake, Solid Minerals boosts foreign reserves by $5 million. Why Oyo government delayed approval of Olakuleyi's choice as for the third Olubadan. Governor raises dust over spending of 90 billion naira Hajj subsidy. INEC retains placeholder as Akpata's running mate in Edo. And Kano government serves Bayero eviction notice from Nasarawa Palawas. Okay. Which story are we starting with, the nation?
Okay, I will start with Solid Minerals. So our president received a symbolic gold bar from the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, in Abuja at the weekend. And our president, in response and appreciation of that, says this is another concrete step towards the diversification process under the renewed hope agenda. So the president was saying that this is a clear testament to his administration economic diversification. Then, according to a statement by the Special Assistant on Media to Shegun Tomori, Dr. Alake says that the first commercial gold transaction under the National Gold Purchase Program, that's NGPP, increased the country's foreign reserves assets by $5 million. Yay!
Wow.
He explained that the 70-plus kilogram gold bar, sourced from local artisanal and small gold miners, was refined by the Solid Minerals Development Fund, which is an agency under the ministry. And he said that it was polished, so this gold bar was polished to meet the London Bullion Market Association gold delivery standard. So there's an international standard, and we also met it. And, you know, so it now shows that it was explained that from what we have done, it shows that we are now an economy, that our currency would foster economic confidence, enhance currency stability, and create a more attractive environment for foreign investment. That when we keep doing this, and this is the sort of thing that you do as a country to show that your economy, your currency is something that is one of the currency of value. You know, so this is not something we've always done, but this is where we're headed now. Yeah. So it shows that the policies, the new policies under this administration has helped in diversification. We're opening up our economy to other things and boosting the confidence of our currency.
And you earn some respect.
Yeah.
Okay, another story.
Niger State. The governor of Niger State has called for the probe of the 90 billion naira Hajj subsidy. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, for a northern governor to be protesting against this, let me see. Only for me to find out that he was saying it should have been better, it would have been better routed through the states. He said that they are going to the... Okay, he had some really good points. Let me highlight the good points. So he said that the NACOM, which is the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, should be focusing more on regulatory agencies as opposed to being an operator, that they should let the private operators and agents handle Hajj, and they should be doing more of regulation and mediation, and that the 2024 Hajj was a failure, and suggested that the private sector handling would have been better. He also mentioned that he's going to lead a committee of governors to protest this matter. They will take it to the National Assembly, and they will ask for a review of the operations of this commission.
I get that.
As well as then probing the money, because he said the Niger State had to still spend billions of naira on Hajj, that every everybody that paid 8 million naira for Hajj were given just $400 to survive the days they were in Hajj. So the process, the system for him does not work.
Is he the same one that talked about the starvation of Nigerians?
Yes, he mentioned that as well. So it's, yeah, so...
But I get that. I get his point, but there's always trust issues. So you don't trust government to do it. And government means to state government. You don't even trust state governments to do it either. So there's always, that's why I like the idea of private sector being an independent to actually help to disburse.
So that the commission would only focus on the government of Saudi Arabia, ensuring that
safety of the people. Okay, another story in the nation.
Rivers crisis. So council workers have they have a planned protest. So you know, Rivers State has been in the news for some time because of always recently. Okay, so the council workers are saying that they want to go on protests. The presence of police presence in council secretariats. We know that last week we were talking about some of the local government chairmen who their tenure has expired and they are saying they don't want to leave because they need to hear the court's injunction telling them to go back. In as much as they said there was another injunction that said, okay, before then there was a Martin Amefule ruling that said that if you as a local government chairman, your tenure expires before election, you could still extend to 6 months. But another injunction came and said, okay, no, you can't do it. So that's the clash that have been going on. And some of the local government chairmen, they said that we want to hear from the court before we stop. Okay. And meanwhile, the governor had already sworn in or inaugurated new caretaker committee chairman. So those ones are the ones that are occupying those offices right now. But National Union of Trade Union Congress, they are saying you're stopping us from gaining access to the secretariat and we have to work, and so we are going to protest if you keep keeping your policemen at the scene.
Okay, so the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs in Oyo State, Mr. Olusegun Olaiwola, has revealed that there was a dissenting voice within the Olubadan in council on the health status of Oba Owolabi Olakuleyin. That was the reason government was careful in approving his nomination as the new Olubadan of Ibadan. He said that they objected to Olakuleyin's nomination on the health grounds, which necessitated that the government should patiently consider all positions before approving his nomination. You know, that's what caused the delay. So at least what happened that others actually went ahead to approve his nomination. Moving on now to the Punch. Dangote alleges IOC's frustrating refinery. FG to punish survivors, approving salaries for Jakpa workers. Christ Embassy, Lagos Mall's demolition. Oyakhilome promises bigger church. Naira sells at 1,148 naira to the dollar as official forex market records $23 billion. Food price hike worry operators amid 1.2 trillion naira agri project. And NNPC shifts $900 million gas pipeline delivery date to August. Cholera outbreak, 22 states get kits as Lagos cases hit 500. Okay, let's take one story for the break.
Mine is quite a long story, the major headline. Has a shorter one.
So what I see here is federal government to punish supervisors, approving salaries for Jakpa workers. So we've heard this news that some people relocate abroad and they're seen as ghost workers taking salaries here. So they had the civil service week where the president expressed dismay and he said he's going to punish those supervisors aiding this, and the people that they've been paying, they're going to return this money. So that's what to see.
All right, let's go on a short break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Let me take the cholera vaccine. So the chairman of the Forum of Health Commissioners of Nigeria, Dr. Oyebanji Filani, has said that 22 states have received test kits and other materials from the federal government following the recent cholera outbreak. As they also mentioned, that 500 suspected cases in Lagos, and they've been scrambling to contain the spread. Also, they suspected that most of the notably affected states are Lagos, Bayelsa, Zamfara, Abia, Cross River, Bauchi, Delta, Katsina, Imo, and Nasarawa State. He said that unfortunately there are no vaccines just yet. They're hoping to get the vaccines coming. They don't produce it here in Nigeria, so they're hoping the vaccines coming quite soon. But speaking in Lagos State specifically, the special advisor on health to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Dr. Kemi Oguyemi, who was here and mentioned that there was a decline. She did say that, yes, that over the weekend there was a little bit of an increase because we get reports here and there. It hasn't been totally confirmed, but accumulatively it's about 500 cases that are suspecting. It might have been cholera, but it's not yet totally confirmed. She attributed the initial decline to the massive sensitization that's been gone throughout the state and the fact that people have been going around teaching people how to wash their hands and boil water. So they're hoping that the vaccines come in quickly so they can help. But vaccines don't work alone. They also work with you being more hygienic. So they're hoping that that can also help to sensitize and help reduce the cholera outbreak.
Yes, I have a major headline. And this story for me is it's quite worrying. So they say the Vice President of Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries Limited, his name is Daval Kumar Edwin. He has accused the international oil companies in Nigeria of plans to frustrate the survival of the new Dangote oil refinery and petrochemicals. He says they are deliberately and willfully frustrating the refinery efforts to buy local crude by hiking the cost above the market price, thereby forcing the refinery to import crude from countries as far as the United States with its attendant high cost. And he also said that the federal government had issued 25 licenses to build refineries and we're the only one that delivered on our promise. In effect, we deserve every support from the government. He says that more than 3.5 billion liters, which represent 90% of our production, have been exported. And so they're asking the federal government and regulators to give them the necessary support to create jobs and prosperity for the nation. They're saying that the IOCs sometimes made the refinery to pay $6 over and above the market price, you know, and so that's why they have to go and look elsewhere to import. But one that, for me, that was the most worrying is the importation of, they said, extremely high sulfur diesel from Russia and dumping it in the Nigerian market. So as we know, licenses have been given for importation, and they're bringing in dirty fuel. And so they were explaining it that what has happened is that this particular fuel, that they're ultra high sulfur diesel from Russia, and they have high carcinogenic effects.
Oh, you know? So they also
and
help
that countries, they say, especially countries like Belgium or Netherlands, there are many countries were quite alarmed by the amount of sulfur and how bad the fuel is. We're using them here in Nigeria. Government's allowing people to import them, and we're using them here for whatever reason. So these are the things that Nigerians need to know, you know. And I hope that now, I hope that it's not that we're waiting for Dangote Vice President to tell us that government is aware of the type of oil that's being brought into our country.
Even Dangote had mentioned that the mafia in this oil and gas is worse than the mafia in the drug. He mentioned it last week. So he also needs support from government to help him fight these guys, because they'll do everything to frustrate the efforts of getting this refinery working. So these are calculated
attempt to frustrate him.
Well, other countries have banned this.
Yes,
countries that know better have banned this. I hope that our country would follow suit immediately.
At least the distribution is out now.
To think, last administration, we had this issue of sulfur petrol shipped into Nigeria that knocked a lot of persons injured, even though we didn't see anybody take the fall for that. For it to be recurrent, it means that we actually need to hold some people accountable for some of these mishaps happening in our country. Because if you don't create a scapegoat, they'll continue to do it.
Okay,
I have a
Vanguard.
quick story, food prices worry operators within the agri sector. And I had reading the data that was released by the All Farmers Association of Nigeria. The representative of that group, Kabir Ibrahim, said that 1.25 trillion naira has been budgeted to the agri sector over the past 3 years. and yet we're not seeing the impact in more affordable food in the market. That typically, when you go to the market now, food is available, it's just more expensive. That is only vegetables like tomatoes that are not available, and that always happens in rainy season because we don't have we don't practice greenhouse farming. But when you study the budget, since 2022, there's been a constant decline in their Greek budget. It dropped in 2023, it dropped in 2024. Yet, there is a constant increase in personnel costs. So we're spending more money on personnel, spending more money on overhead, and spending less money on capital expenditure, like these that would have proper projects impact on the country. We're reducing the budget, increasing staff, increasing overhead, and reducing what goes to the people. The man is advising that the government needs to step in, that it's only in Nigeria that there will be food available, people willing to buy, and the price keeps going up despite the interventions of the Ministry of Agric, that the Ministry of Agric is not dealing with the problem. And one of it is, of course, the valuation of Naira made everything get more expensive. But there needs to be intervention within the Agric space, especially for people, because the cost of food...
now is Nigerians. Because me, I don't know, all documented policies are there. Nigerians also must, because sometimes I was going to buy 2 bags of yam of 7,000 and I'm thinking, okay, from the farmer to here, how does it get to 7,000 naira?
It will, because the staff are asking for more. My staff now, I have 8 farm staff. They are saying that 45,000 naira is not enough a salary for each person right now, because the cost of living has gone up. So if my cost of farming has gone up, the cost of yam will go up.
And what they say is the yam seller will tell you that I have to buy tomatoes, which is expensive. I have to pay for my tariff, which is expensive. So I have to actually sell more to pay for these expenses.
Vanguard, Labour to governors on minimum wage, rescue Nigeria from state of resentment and misery. Civil servants collecting salaries after relocating abroad must refund money, says federal government. Nigerian pilgrims serving in Saudi Arabia, says Governor Bago. Worshippers recount ordeal as fire got Christ Embassy headquarters. Who has Christ Embassy? Nobody has a story.
Yes, I have the Christ Embassy story. So they were recounting yesterday. They said that the Christ Embassy auditorium in Oregon caught fire based on electrical appliances, and church workers who were in church were sharing their experience because they had to scamper for safety. This started around 7 a.m. in the morning, and it wasn't put out completely until around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Yes, it was huge. It also prevented worshippers from being able to worship in the auditorium. They all had to move to Asheshe, to the campground, where they then ended up worshiping. They said a lot of worshippers said they saw the building and they were in tears because they knew like a lot of investment had gone into it, and a lot of things have come.
Were they able to save the building?
No.
That
building has to go down.
Yes, the building would go down.
Has to go down.
However, the pastor, the president of the Love World International Christ Embassy, Reverend Chris Oyakilome, said that the church is not worried about the incidents. He said that we built that with what we know. Imagine what we are going to do with what we know now. And when things like this happen, do not be moved. So it was inspiring people about understanding that they would always growth.
Okay, so before you get up and you move, I mean, service still helps.
Have a story in Vanguard?
Yes. So the organized labor has warned some governors not to plunge the country into resentment and misery and impoverishment. You know, talking about the minimum wage, we know that there has been this back and forth between the government and Labour, saying that Labour is asking for 250 and federal government is saying we can pay 62. So it's now the advice from the governors who can pay and who cannot pay and all that. So Labour is saying, while you're trying to suggest what you can pay, try not to create misery in the states, because maybe the president is going to make his final decision based on your own recommendation. So Labour is saying they don't want to go on strike. They are waiting for the president to actually say what the final decision is on this minimum wage. That's when they can know their next line of action. But he's advising and begging the governors not to further plunge the country into misery.
Yeah, this was still just a continuation of what the Niger State governor was saying, but this one, he gave a few more details. He talked about a lot of the pilgrims who are in Saudi Arabia and they're starving. So at first, I just thought that they didn't have money to feed, but is that a lot of them go there and the food that is being served to them is Arabian food. They're not used to it. So that's why he was saying that, you know, the government should have been involved. They would know exactly, they would have done which better, which is make sure that the food that is needed for the pilgrims from their state that they find comfortable and they're used to, he would have provided the kitchen, they would have gotten a kitchen for them to provide that. And that pilgrimage should not be beyond 2 weeks, but you have people still in Saudi Arabia, 40 days, some people stand there 45 days, it makes no sense. Because he feels, as he said earlier, that NACO should not be involved in the operations of it, be a regulatory body. For the people that they know their people, they, you know, they have a better and closer relationship with them. They're able to take them there and bring them back on time, make sure that they feed well, make sure that they're staying there comfortably. But NACO is a bit too far away from the people, you understand? So,
okay, I was going to take a quick story. 50 members of the House of Representatives under the auspices of concerned federal lawmakers in the peace and security in the Southeast have appealed to President Bola Tinubu to invoke Section 174 of the Constitution, of Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 for the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, that's Nnamdi Kanu, from detention to aid the restoration of peace in the Southeast zone. These are lawmakers from different parts of the country saying that there has to be something done quickly to get him released, to be able to restore peace into that zone. Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we want to the hot topic of today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So recently, Nigeria's House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence has asked the government to acquire new presidential jets for both the President, Bola Tinubu, and the Vice President, Kashim Shettima. This report has triggered a widespread criticism by some Nigerians who questioned the wisdom in buying new airplanes at the time when Nigeria is facing severe economic hardship. However, on the other side of the divide, the argument has been about the safety of the #1 citizen of our country. What are your thoughts on this? There are two sides of this story. You can call us on 081-0764-1679, 090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. You know, when I saw the Punch report and the amount of money that was spent, about over 14 or so billion, in servicing over the last 11 months of these presidential, about 10 of them in the fleet. And it's now clear that all of them cannot be, they cannot be used anymore for the president because obviously they're not in good condition.
19 years.
So we need 19 years. So we need to buy 2 new ones. Now, these 2 new ones, according to the Punch report I read, is going to cost us almost maybe 100 billion, 100 billion naira. I mean, based on what I saw in the numbers looking at in the Punch. Now, that's a lot of money. And the question is, do we think it's a good idea to expend such amount at this time, looking at the fact that we also need the safety of our president when he travels? Because whether you like it or not, this is a man that is shopping for foreign investment, asking other countries to see Nigeria as a market for investment. And he can't do that from his office. He needs to go there to see, Yoruba people say, Ojulo Rowa, you have to go there to sell yourself. So what do you guys think? I mean, we are really in that a catch-22 situation. What do I do, this or that? I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Who would like to go first?
In order of priority. I'm always thinking in order of priority. Why? Because we are not a country that can afford everything we want, so we must prioritize. When you're making your priorities, you're making your priorities based on what is most important for me to put money on right now as a person. It's similar to saying a family, a parent has need for a car and you don't want the parents to die, but the children need to eat. So, okay, so should we eat or should we get a car so that there is more safety in order of priority? I also, as a personal person who likes achieving goals, if I want something I know I really need, I will set a goal. Okay, if I sell 50% of my current presidential jets, I will then balance the funds to buy 2 new ones. If I'm able to achieve this amount in revenue as a goal, then I will buy this. Like there must be we can't at this stage, with the way our economy is, with the way Nigerians are growing, have a government say it is too important to protect the life of our number one. And then we would pull funds from other crucial areas to ensure we protect life of our number one. I would like a government that will be able to tell us that in order to achieve this, our goal, we're going to make A, B, C sacrifice. We have set A, B, C as goals, and we've set over the next 3 months to achieve this goal or the next 1 year. Because even if you order the plane, it will still take a year before the plane will come in. So it means that over the next few months, the president will still have to fly private or use or manage what he has. So within the next 1 year, we can actually set a goal that we want to make this revenue available to us by doing A, B, C, D. Specific goals, they go for it. The people that are all working on that agenda, the entire country knows we are working towards our goal. Remember when we see developed countries, when they are working towards going to the moon or working towards achieving one goal or the other, the entire country knows this is our goal. The president will have 2 new jets when we achieve A, B, C, D. That way we are all involved. But if the president makes any move right now towards acquiring that jet without communicating with the people in a way that puts them first, they will look at it and say, it's in his pockets. This their new hope. It's a new hope that suits them and renewed hope. See, I've never even bought into the...
I am a Nigerian. I bought into it and I believe in renewed hope. So I can tell you when I'm sleeping, renewed hope, yeah.
I believe in the renewed hope agenda, actually. See, the thing is, I know that things are tough, but I've looked at this based on the information before us, what I've heard conversations. I am of the opinion that it is not is not a bad thing for the presidency to consider changing the jets, because we're talking about their safety here. And, you know, I try to look at it. Let all of us, you know, let's go home. Recently, my family made a purchase that was quite an expensive purchase, but it was a business decision.
Yeah.
Do you understand? It is something that in the long run will do better for the family. But at this time, when we did it, it cost a lot of money to do it. As we all know, things are hard. But we could use that money to do small things, just trying to get things. Or we'll take this money and make this big purchase. We will be tight on us right now, but in the long run will be better for us. So now, the president travels, whether we like it or not. All presidents in all over the world, they do that. All presidents all over the world need a safe mode of transportation to make international travels, right? And we know that that's the jets. And if we have a 19-year-old jet, and if it has been recommended by the appropriate bodies that they do not think it is safe anymore, you know, to be used for such long flights, to the point that, you know, our vice president has taken some commercial flights because of the safety of this particular jet, I think we should put that into consideration. Except we're saying for the president and the vice president not to make those trips anymore. Except we're saying that we do not see the economic benefits of those trips anymore. But we do know that these are important trips. They have diplomatic and economic impact on our country. We cannot have a whole country like as big as Nigeria is and say that we're stranded because we cannot make, you know, because our planes, we cannot make those trips. So I understand that things are tough, but sometimes in tough times, we make some tough decisions for the long run. So the amount, they have also explained to us that the amount of money spent in the maintenance of this jet, you know, because of the state that they're in, will cost us a lot more in the long run than investing in this jet. As uncomfortable and as whatever as this is, I feel, honestly, that this is the better way to go.
Okay. You come to your thoughts.
This brings me, I think we all share the same sentiment, but this brings me to accountability. Now, apart from the 11 months we talked about, from previous administrations, I have seen that they earmarked certain amounts of billions for the maintenance of this aircraft. And we all know, even the cars we drive, we know we have to do maintenance at some point or the other. And if there are people that are supposed to be in the know as to how the operationalism of this aircraft, and they've been earmarking this amount of money for a period of time, and yet it's in this state that it can be used, then I think questions should be asked. Because we can't keep saying we budgeted 1.6 billion, 3.2 billion, this billion, and all that, and nobody gives account of how was it used, what did you use it for, why is this in this state, even after budgeting this much for this stuff. So I don't think it's not okay for the president to fly safe. These are the trips he must make. But I also think that while we also talk about making sacrifices and cutting down cost of everything, we saw recently the merging of the NDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies to cut down. I think there are other things we could do, just as Marian has, Tokwe has said, that we can actually cut down on some of those expenses. Let's look inward. What are the things you can actually cut short on for this period of 6 months or 1 year, and for us to gather enough to do this? Because taking our debt profile is already very high. I hear 121 over 121 trillion already. So taking these loans to service non-reproductive projects is not really nice.
You know, there's also that school of thought that if you don't buy it now, it's going to get more expensive in future. What you don't do now, if you don't fix it now, if you don't buy it now, the amount of money, the value of the plane today, if you try to buy it in 2 years' time, the right that we're about to commit about 100 billion. If it's next year, 2 years' time, you like to do 200 billion, depending on inflation. But let me take this call. I hear that I have a caller. Good morning. Thanks for calling. From Port Harcourt.
Good morning, my good young lady. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, my name is Reginald Victor from Port Harcourt.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I have this little contribution.
Yes, please.
Whenever we see our government-run expenses, as if where the money is picked on the roadside, it bleeds my heart. In this present administration of our President, Bola Tinubu, they have spent 21 billion to just build a residential for vice president. Falana was talking on one of your channels, either TVC or Arise. As our president came in, right from that very moment he was sworn in, first thing he did was to remove a subsidy. And Falana himself was talking. In this 1 year, President Tinubu has spent 54.5 trillion, not a trillion, on subsidy. I begin to ask, where is that money coming from? If our leaders have us to heart, I remember years back in Nigeria when we don't have airlines at all. There was this Virgin Air. The British Prime Minister flies on Virgin Air, owned by the country. Virgin, that was owned by the private on Virgin Air. Now, right on your screen, as you are seated here, as you are talking, I am seeing federal government spend 14.77 billion in 11 months to fly private jets.
Maintenance.
It bleeds my heart and I cry. Are they actually leading people, or they are leading them and themselves and their pockets? If a president leader cannot take, cannot have consideration, we are the first infrastructure. Anytime Nigeria mentions infrastructure, it bleeds my heart.
All right. Thank you very much, Victor.
Are the first infrastructure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor, for your opinion. You know, some would argue that this is our president, and the jet is the property of Nigerians, not Mr. Tinubu or not even anybody in government. It belongs to Nigerians, and this is a jet that is required. But the other argument, which is also very valid, is that our naira is depreciating. our economy cannot handle that kind of expenditure at this time, especially you need dollar. It's not my Nigerian naira you're going to transact with. It is still the same dollar you're going to transact with. Exactly. So it's just which one do we prioritize? I think somebody talked about priority. How do we prioritize which is important at this time? Because if you don't pay for, as Mariam also said, if you don't pay for it today, it's only going to get more expensive. So there's some costs that we just have to face or choose not to face. Because there's never a good time. There's never, even if the economy gets better, people will still argue that it's only a time.
I don't agree with the idea of it to get more expensive, and so we should do it now. You cannot do what you cannot afford now because it will get expensive tomorrow. What you should do is prepare for the more expensive approach tomorrow. There was a time in my life I could not buy a car when it was 300,000 naira to buy a car. When it was 1 million to buy a car, I couldn't afford to buy it. It has become more expensive, but I could buy it because I had increased as a person, my financial ability. So the government is struggling to buy something now because the government has not increased in its financial ability to the capacity where they can buy it with ease. So the goal is, how do we expand our income as a government to justify the expenditure that we feel is essential for our country? Right now, we have not been able to get that justification from those people that are saying, let's buy. What we are hearing is, we need it. Let's squeeze ourselves and buy it, as opposed to saying, we have created room. We've made these savings, and by saving money in this place and this place, we are able to ensure we buy and afford this. So that, for me, is extremely important. This country, we run Nigeria like this. Nigeria is always going to be there, but we are going to die. So let us not die now. Let's not die now. Let's die later.
I think that's a very valid point. Let me take this call from Mr. Bond. Good morning, Mr. Bond. You're live.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. All right. I just want to make a contribution regarding this new jet we're trying to purchase from Mr. President. I just want to, let me just give an example. You in your home, in your family, you probably have some old vehicles, and you look at the situation, the economy, look at the family income at the moment. You know, it's not convenient to go get a brand new vehicle at the moment. You have the children's school fees, you have to provide food, you have, to take care of other issues that have to do with health care and all of that. And you find that this should not be the priority now. So you instead refurbish the old existing vehicle and make it serviceable, just to be able to balance the family need. And what I see in Nigeria is because we don't tend to have responsibility over the affairs of Nigeria. So anything can happen. Let me tell you what's happening in Nigeria. They see Nigerian affair, Nigerian asset as a nobody's business. That's our jet that they are saying is unserviceable now. I'm telling you, if they auction it to individuals, the same politicians, that jet will become serviceable, and that jet will last more 2 decades or more. And the truth is, nobody cares. Look at our refinery. So it's not the question of being unserviceable. The truth is that Nigerian asset belongs to nobody. So we don't manage it. As far as we are concerned, when it becomes our property, then we'll now know how to fix it. That is the challenge we have in Nigeria. And I tell you now, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. I know that during Buhari's time, they tried to sell a couple, and they were unable to sell these. He was going to sell them, but for whatever reason, they were unable to sell them. So it's not everybody. Maybe some of these things are not even sellable. They're not even worthy to be resold. But let's go on a short break. When we come back, we continue and open our phone lines for more comments. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this presidential jet, and there's something that Abigail touched on I think is really crucial. I'd like her to go back to it. Talked about the fact that there are people who are responsible for maintaining. In the last 11 months, 14.7 billion was expended in maintaining the presidential jets. Now, the thing is, there are people who are getting these contracts whose job it is to do a proper maintenance. We're not even focusing on those because money is slipping through. It happens doing them even with our crude and our oil, no, not crude, our power, not refinery, our power. I think it was billions that this Obasanjo's time that is spent on getting power, but for whatever reason, the power, the generation was not properly maintained. The point is, money is slipping through the cracks. It's not this president or this vice president collecting the contract for his jet. There are people in the government who get this money, and the money is not getting to do exactly what it's supposed to do. So we should also investigate the fact that 14 billion was expended. How are we not addressing that on its own?
Yeah, so
just choosing to buy a new one.
Yes. So you know why this conversation is so tough to have in Nigeria? The reason why is we have refused to address some of the issues that we have, and that is, a lot of people will tell you that the monies that we spend on projects is not about the project itself. It's that we have used that project to steal money, to siphon money.
Simple.
Good.
Padding.
So the padding. So if someone, anytime we hear government says they have something to do and it costs 10 naira, we immediately assume that 5 naira is not for the project, that some people are going to be sorted. So the problem really is proper accountability.
Yes.
Is there an independent body that we can trust, to tell us exactly how much has been spent on the fleet that we have so far, how much has been spent and actually spent, and it can be traced. What are the spare parts that you bought? Where did you buy them from? I know we don't manufacture things, so that means we're doing a lot of importation. So there's those additional costs and everything. And then we can sit down and, and sort of review it. But I'm basing my own opinion on on the assumption that there's a trustworthy committee that sits and looks at this. I'm also basing on the assumption that this group of people who are maintaining the presidential fleet will be so close to the presidency that hopefully it will be harder for them to get away with bad behavior because their eyes are on it.
True.
So if we have that, if all my assumptions is true, so that means this is the amount that's needed to, get new jets or maintain the jets. Now is the matter of what is priority. I believe safety is priority. But as the government has constantly said to us, tighten your belt. And we've called up many people or many government officials or appointees who we felt have not tightened their belts. Now can government understand the cries of Nigeria. It does not pay you when you think you can get away with some things. Now you need to make a very important purchase, and you have to now prove to Nigerians. Imagine if we're having this conversation on the back of seeing them tightening their belts. So we have tightened our belts, we've cut costs here, we've cut costs here, and we have raised this amount of money from the cuts we cut in these various places, and that's what we're going to put there. So let's say 50% is coming out of this place. Imagine the conversations Nigerians will be having,
Let me take this call from James. Uyo, thanks for calling. Calling from Uyo, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm pleased to join it. And it's quite a very situation for tinubu. Now, each time we talk about the problems, each time we talk about these problems, we forget the fact that Tinubu just into federal power barely a year ago. We are seeing a situation where for a long time, the collapse of the agriculture has been gradual.
James, I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm so sorry. It's really difficult. It was a bit muffled. There are two parts of this, and I think both sides have valid arguments. So there's a woman, for example, who is trying to do big business, right? And she has two options. Finding a way to get a luxury, maybe her kind of job that she does, like, when you appear, you have to appear in a certain way. So she's looking for money to have this big car. People tell you, you're dressed the way you want to be addressed. People have big meetings and they go and borrow somebody's big car just to make an entrance. I'm just giving an example.
No, I get it.
People do that
Yeah.
just because you want to enter big, go and rent a big car. Others will say, you know what, I'd rather do my work. However you see me, I'm here for business. So the thinking that our presidential jet, our president must have this jet is one hand. Others are saying you don't need to have that jet. You can still be doing chartered flight at least until you're able to afford it. That's what Tokwe said
I hear
earlier.
you, but for me, that would not be the analogy I would use.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine would be that you're running a business and you have this generator, and you've had it for a few years, and it's always breaking down or it's more expensive to fix. And I've called the people that are in charge of generator and generating power for this my business. And they've said, Madam, you know what? If you get a better or newer generator, the cost of us coming every other 2 weeks to come and fix something, you would have put that away. I know it will be heavy on you right now. Things are tough. But imagine that this your generator. You wouldn't need to call me every other 2 weeks to maintain or to fix something. Because for one whole year, you'll be good. And you'll recoup what you have spent. So this is how I see what
so
this conversation
that's actually a better analogy.
Yes,
Let me take this call. I was trying to find a good analogy, but I didn't get it right. But let me take James again. I think he's back from Uyo. Now come to you, Abigail. James, are you there? You're live. You're watching TV. You're live. Go ahead, James. Go ahead,
Okay,
Abigail.
so
Hello. James, are you there?
Okay, yeah, I was saying that we seem to blame all the economic blames on Nigeria, on President President Tinubu. Nigeria seems to forget the fact that Tinubu just came in barely a year ago. The economic crunch is facing Nigeria today has been a gradual process, and it's been a collective bargain. But the citizens, the past government. So my concern today would be the fact that while we are trying to blame Tinubu for the immediate problems we are facing now, we should also take into consideration of the fact that these problems did not just emanate from today. Now, let's go straight to the point about this issue of the aircraft. No doubt the president has called on Nigerians, every one of us, both those in government and outside of government, to tighten the belt. It's like telling the Nigerian now, okay, because the economy has collapsed completely, don't eat for 3 days, don't eat for 4 days. The need for the president to move around in this country and outside of this country is very important. There are certain things we cannot compromise. The security of the... Imagine this our president traveling in a bad aircraft, and something happens. It is the same Nigerians who will come out and be crying and be shouting, no, we should have done this, we should have done this. No doubt the economy has collapsed. But it's like telling the president, don't breathe because the economy has collapsed. The aircraft, the presidential jet, is of paramount importance. How do we expect the president to cruise around the countries of the world, the diplomatic mission, the economic ties we've got to make? How do we feel when we look at all these situations?
Right.
So for me, while trying to rebuild our economy, some of the things that need to be done must be done. And one of those things is the fact that the president must be given the proper...
Thank you very much, Jess.
So no one is disputing the fact we need new private jets and new presidential fleet. No one is disputing the fact. We are just talking about the timing. Now, the integrity of our leaders is put to test here. You know, when they say you're leading a people, you're having service to those people, how do you empathize with them? Let's bring ASU in for this time. There was an agreement that made them go for, okay, they were agitating for something that made them go for 8-month strike. And then they had an agreement with government. Until now, most of those agreements have not been met. Those ones have not been met. We are talking about minimum wage. These things are burning issues that concerns over 150, over 180 million Nigerians. Yeah, the president has to be protected. And we need to get deals into Nigeria. But let's look inwards. The ones we have in Nigeria, companies are packing up because of bad economy. Most companies can't keep up. I think Nigeria has gotten to the point where we'll say, okay, we need a shame again. Let's sweep our homes, rearrange our houses, take a recess. If it's to change our operations, I think we've gotten to that point, and all of us will know that we are feeling it. We are doing this with a longer success in mind, you know. So we are not disputing the fact that the president needs this. We know that he needs it, and for one, we will not be happy if the president experiences mishap on his way because of bad aircraft. But we also know that while we are talking about 19 years fleet, we still know that we just read now that there are fleets that have been there for 40 years. There are aircraft that are still operational that are there for 40 years. Our cars can go bad. Engines, carburetor, plug, and we change them. We can buy new ones and fix these things and make sure that this time around, we are bent on making sure that it works and we are getting it right for now.
All right. The countries that have that, probably because they produce those things, so they're able to change the parts easier. But
but also the countries that have that, do we know how old their presidential fleets are? So there's a commercial...
Yeah, so I was going back to the analogy I was trying to do earlier. I think it came from when Tokwe had mentioned earlier, that the fact that before you start spending, you have to find a way to draw a plan to see if you can afford that expense.
Exactly.
So, which I understand, you know, but sometimes some business people, you say, they find a way to, because they want to make an impression. So they find a way to get, even though they don't have that money, for them it's branded, I must come and I must show up.
So
I can't go to France as a president, borrowing somebody's plane and then transferring somebody's plane, because I'm also branding Nigeria. I'm trying to arrive in a certain way. So I must go with my own presidential jet. So there's the argument of, okay, we can't afford it, yes, but sometimes we just find a way to get the money just because we are trying to rebuild this Nigeria. So where do we find the middle ground?
So if it's for branding purposes only, then I'm not on this. Then I don't
Yes, and we don't need to put it out there.
No. I get you, but I'm just saying, you know, if it's only for branding purposes, if a committee is set up and they're able to prove that the jets can do another 10 years, of course, if you need to brand it, paint it, spray paint it, do more Zoom meetings and things like that, you know, if you have. But if it is for safety, functional reasons, please.
It's important.
I mean, I feel that's a no-brainer.
But the question...
Okay.
Alaji, thanks for calling. You're live. Hello?
Hello,
Good morning, you're live. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning to the rest, ladies in the house.
Thank
You
you.
see, I will align myself with what Mariam said. I align myself with what Mariam said. Do you remember? Note, very, very important. Air transportation is not manageable. Air transportation is a dangerous issue. You remember the story of Wugui? You know, the aircraft that took people, we know it has an historical bad record. And you should know that. And apart from that, President Jaja is part of the president, you know, utensils. It's part of his material to work. Even it is not the issue of a tinubu or not to be, whoever that is there. And I remember our past president, this issue has been recurring. They give the kind of, you know, expenses they are incurring on the presidential fleet, which is very, very, you know, absurd. You know, I mean, it's not economical, you know. So I think we should know that, you know, air movement, air transportation is not manageable, and what is worth doing is worth doing. I mean, it's necessary for us to do it, you know. And I knew they will even blame whoever that is in charge that why can't you change it? So this is exactly why I align myself with Maria. So it is very important. Thank you very much.
Let's take a few comments. Go ahead, Abigail.
So I was going to say about branding. We don't need to prove anything to the outside world. People see us already. They know who Nigerians are. They know that we have the human capacities. When you talk about Nigerians outside, abroad, they know that we are resilient people. We are prosperous people. So we don't need to actually prove to anybody about who we are already, because even whether we speak or not, they already know. Recently, we saw the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, riding on a bicycle, and a lot of persons say, oh, wow, is this a president? And every other person, too, they were. We don't have to be that way, but at least we can also still put the most important or the more important things first before actually thinking of branding.
So safety obviously is the most crucial part.
Yeah.
But let me have to wrap up on this.
So somebody has been putting it over and over again that the British, you know, they keep quoting the British Prime Minister does not, I mean, flies the BA. Well,
Yeah,
the
it's
truth
commercial.
is, they fly BA, but they also have aircraft.
Own it.
They actually have an aircraft. They have the
Their own fleet.
Of their official aircraft. The royal family has aircraft. I had to check it because I kept saying it over and over again that it's not a... I don't think it's about comparing our country with another country.
If we have a Nigerian
I think it is about making a decision. The president can decide and make an announcement and say, as the president of Nigeria, based on the analysis I've done, I do not think that at this point in time we can afford to have a private jet. I mean, a presidential fleet. We foresee that if we continue with the New Hope agenda, renewed hope agenda, we are going to be able to achieve it in the next 10 years. Yeah. If he says that, everybody in the world will respect that's his opinion. If he also comes out and says, as of today, I feel that to achieve renewed hope agenda, I need the presidential fleet, it's his choice. It's not about what the world will say or what the world will not say, because most of the comments I've been seeing on YouTube is like, oh, this country flies private jets, this country has this one. It doesn't matter what other countries do, because we already said we should face our own front. So in facing our front right now...
You choose when you want to face your front.
And maybe they won't tell us that we should face our front. So I'm advising that since we are facing our front, let the president decide on what is most important.
We have to wrap up on this, but I think we just take a few more comments and we run up.
Thingami says, let's not pretend like we're unaware that this is just another means to siphon public funds. The VP residence renovation, which got billions of scarce funds, was a safety concern too. Besides, the aircraft reliability is more a function of maintenance than its 16 years of age. So those are the things that we're going to...
So the Nigerians, some will agree, some will disagree. Yes. Festus. Good morning, Festus, you're live. Hello, Festus.
I have a...
I think I lost
If it's not a mute, okay.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Hi, it's everything.
Very well. Go ahead, please.
I'm in support of having a sound plane. A sound one, for that matter. Yes. You don't manage your... If your car is having a problem, you can park it. It moves on land. But once a plane takes off, and there is fault, there is problem. And the man does not move alone. He moves with some family. So look at the fleet, the number of people moving with him that Nigeria stands to lose. I know some people don't like him. Yes, they don't like him. So their contribution from whatever they say is not based on the interest of Nigeria, their tribal interest.
Okay.
Or partisan interest. No matter how poor Nigeria may be, this is the largest economy in Africa. The way you look at it. So our president, is our #1 citizen and must be well protected with his fleet.
All right.
Thank you.
Point taken, investors. We have to wrap up. Let's take a few comments and we're done. Yeah.
The old jets and use the proceeds from it to buy new jets.
You tried that last year.
Nigeria is no longer the largest economy in Africa. We are #4. South Africa won, Egypt, Algeria.
So shocking to know that our currency is now lower than that of
we're the largest number of people. We are giving birth plenty.
Anyways, we have to wrap up.
Yeah.
Are we done? Okay, so I think really we all agree. I mean, it's a tough decision. That our president obviously needs the jet to move around. But there's always that question of what's priority, especially in view of the current economic standing of the country. Is it the right decision to make? People say it's about life and death here. God forbid anything happens mid-air. We're all going to be the ones still saying that they wish they had actually bought a new jet. So I think he does deserve a jet. It's just that, as Tokwe also rightly said, how do we pay for it? It has to be very clear. Where is the money coming from? What are we going to do to earn this money that we're about to spend? Because we're tightening our belts across board. So maybe if countries know that, listen, the president can't come. Because what he went for in South Africa is just really to celebrate the second term inauguration of the president. Someone will say, okay, was that an economic decision? Is that something that was that really necessary? That's debatable. Diplomatic is a phone call. Congratulations right now. We're still building Nigeria's economy. Unfortunately, I can't come right now, but congratulations. Well done. Well, You see, we had...
But Nigerians are complaining. Ghana has free visa, free access to South Africa.
We'll get there. We're not in a hurry. We're not in a hurry. We'll get there. These are things we'll earn that over time. We'll not in a hurry.
Our glory.
Eventually. But my own is just that let us just be sure that we prioritize and do the right thing.
That's an insult, so we should have discussed that.
Which one?
That we don't have free entry
Visa-free
to South
entry.
Africa.
Well,
And Ghana
if you look at all the reports coming from Dubai, coming from South Africa about Nigerians, you'd also understand some of these things. So there are different ways of looking at it. If you look at their numbers,
misbehaving.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying if you look at the numbers, the numbers, what we're doing concerning crime in all these countries, they will tell you straight up that maybe it's not time. So let's just clean up our house, as you said. If we dare do that, maybe then people will be willing to give us free visas to their countries.
And we like to abuse opportunities. If we make it visa-free, you'll see that most of South Africa will be overpopulated with Nigerians.
Let's get our economy right, and people are willing to stay. So if you are traveling because you just choose to. And those kind of people then can now have a free visa. Let's go and come back over to our next topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to Rivers State. So there has been crisis engulfing the state because of the outgone local government council chairmen insist that their tenure has been elongated by virtue of the amendment of the Rivers State local government area law by the pro-Wike lawmakers whose seats are now declared vacant. This has vexed majority of Rivers people who are ready to ensure that the local government council chairmen do not remain in office after the expiration of their 3-year tenure. Now, joining us to give us an opinion on his views is a legal practitioner, Dumotien Douglas Courier. He'll be joining us from Rivers State. Good morning, sir. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I'm told the signal is poor right now. We're trying to hear. I thought I had him, but we'll come to him in a minute. Let's come to you, ladies. I know this crisis has been ongoing. The pro-Wike, the anti-Wike, those who are believing in the governor, all the drama has been happening, going back and forth. But today's papers, which you took up, Miguel, was talking about the issue concerning the local government chairmen who are saying they insist on staying because the pro-Wike lawmakers had extended the tenure, and they're saying that since their seats have been vacant. But is it people or the institution? I mean, I get really worried.
Okay, so that's why we talk about our judicial system and people losing interest and confidence in the workability of the judicial system. Now, it is for local government chairmen, they are supposed to stay in the office for 3 years. And after 3 years, another set comes in. So for this particular one, there was a law by Martin Amefule that rules that if you as a local government chairman, you are in office and at the expiration of your tenure, another election has not been conducted, you can stay for another 6 months pending when the new set will be elected. But you know the tussle between Wike and Sim Fubara. Another ruling came lately that also said that no, you can't actually stay. It cancelled that elongation of your tenure. So this happened, and then June 17th, because they were inaugurated, they were sworn in June 18, a bit thereabout, in 2021. So June 17th was the last day in office. But the local government chairmen are refusing to leave office, citing the instance of that Amefule ruling that they can actually, that they can stay for another 6 months. And the governor is saying, no, it can be done. On June 19th, which was on a Wednesday, they invited different caretaker committee people to come in, candidates to come in for screening. And most of them have since been sworn in and inaugurated rated to be the caretaker committee chairpersons till there's an election. So there's a new set, but the old ones they have refused to go. Yeah. So the fight in Rivers State is now between the old ones refusing to go and the new ones wanting to start, at least for this time.
But it gets back to the issue of systems in place. I mean, I don't know, what are your thoughts, Tope, in this?
So for me, when I think about Rivers, I just think that it's important that when you are done with your time, let somebody else take charge. And once we don't have a clearly defined leadership, is a real problem. If we don't have a clearly defined leader, there will be confusion within the state. And it's important that the previous governor allows the current governor have his way. I'm also worried about the fact that we can't go to the courts and trust the system. It's very worrisome because that's the point of call. If I feel I'm being slighted, there's injustice happening, I want to go to the court and know that the court would tell me, your case was already in another place. Yeah. It's like when two of my children come and report themselves to me. I'm like, I know what you were saying. You have already reported to your dad. Don't come and meet me. That is an issue we need to resolve within our judiciary system. Besides, a lot of the people within the non-politicians within Rivers have strongly given their voice of support to the current governor. So I think that already should show body language to whoever is trying to hold on to power that this thing has moved. What I'm happy about, though, is I have family in-laws that live there, and the information I've gotten is it's a political crisis. It's not affecting business, it's not affecting individuals. So it's just a media tug of war, and they would resolve themselves so that everybody's still going on and doing what they want to do. So that brings me peace that they have not allowed whatever political crisis has.
But it's actually affecting business because as of Wednesday, the place was rowdy. Everyone came out, and we could see it even on social media. Factions, police, IYC, and the rest of them trying to drag this whole stuff. So the factions, you know, when they say two elephants are fighting, it's the grass that usually suffers. True. So this one wants to prove that I'm the governor, you have to let me be. And the other one wants to prove that, oh, I put you there, you have to pay me some sort of...
Let me let you jump in here, because I'm sure our guest is around. Go ahead.
If it's around us.
Hello, are you there? Mr. Kuri, are
you there? I can hear you clearly, ma.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us. So we had a bit of technical issues linking up with you earlier. So we're talking about what's happening in Rivers State, and we needed you to give us some clarity. I know you're a lawyer, legal practitioner, and this is just your personal opinion, but just share with us your own thoughts as regards what's happening, especially currently with the local government chairman and the governor, who is insisting that they must leave their offices because their tenure was over.
Okay. The truth is that the power talk is about control for the future. The former governor, who is now the minister of the FCT, he wants to lay control of the states. Now, the local government chairman, their tenure elapsed 17th of June, because they were sworn in 18th of June 2021. So their tenure elapsed 17th of June. Now, before their tenure expired, through the assembly, led by Martin Samewule, who is a pro-Wike lawmaker. They are former members anyway. They are no longer members because they defected. Now, the Assembly amended Section 9, Sub 2 of the Rivers State Local Government Areas Law to the effect that if, at the expiration of the year tenure of this local government chairman and the RISEC, that is the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, was unable to conduct election for newly elected chairman and their members, or if for whatever reason the newly elected local government chairman were not sworn in, the assembly is by virtue of that amendment enabled to extend, that is elongate the tenure of these outgone chairmen and their councillors to a period not exceeding 6 months at any period, at each period. So now that amendment has been nullified.
Okay.
Don't you understand? Yeah. That amendment has been nullified by a ruling of a state high court. So as it stands now, that is not a law, and the tenure has elapsed. Now, to think of it, as at the time when these assembly members amended that law, we are the assembly members. This Martin Samewule and the 26 others, they were not in the eyes of the law. They were not members of the assembly. They are defected. Don't you understand?
Yeah.
Their seats had been declared vacant because Wike is using them as a stooge. Both the assembly members and the local government chairman, whose tenure just elapsed about a week ago. So he's just using them as a stooge to cause mayhem in the state.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, right. So we
that-
get okay, go ahead.
My question would be the judiciary. Where is the independence of the judiciary in and respect for the judiciary in Rivers State? How is the FCT minister all the way from Abuja able to do this? You know, why is the court ruling not taking effect? You know, who is more powerful than the judiciary in Rivers State, that whatever it has stated is not taking effect in the state?
Nobody's above the law. That is just the truth. Now, about this local government tenure elongation problem. Now, these people are insisting, because the bottom line is that they are insisting that the assembly members who are no longer members, those are Martin and Mewule and the rest, they are still members. So if they remain as lawful members of the assembly, it means the law made by these assembly members is valid. So their tenure is extended. That is the argument. And now, because some months before the expiration of their term, they were insisting that, like for someone like Samuel Wonosike, also called Ishi Bambe, now he himself and Barrister Chidi Lloyd, who is of Emma local government, and some other chairmen, they were insisting that at the expiration of their term, they will not leave office. That law, which is not has extended their tenure, they are not going to leave office now. So their supporters and those who are also supporting SIM had a clash. Omoma GA. In fact, Samuel Wonosike, when he went to the council secretariat, he was stopped because the IG of police ordered the anti-riot police officers to take over all the 23 council secretariat to prevent a breakdown of law and order. Now, but what the problem I have with the order, the directive given by the IG of police, is that he said the police officer should take charge over the council secretariat until there is a judgment. Okay. For me, the IG of police acted on a wrong premise in the sense that there is already a subsisting order that says no to tenure elongation, that law amended by the Martins and Mewule and the order to the system of lawmakers, that law is not
in effect. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Let me go ahead.
One question: how are the Rivers people reacting to this situation so far?
In your opinion?
Rivers people are in support of the governor.
They are in support of SIM.
Very well. Yes, SIM. Yes, they are in support of the governor. If you recall that after the local mission with the tenure expired, I think a day or two after, at Obiakwa, which is the AG of the FCT minister, his statue was by his own people, by his security people, not a just Calabari or Africa or any other job, by his own people, to tell you that they are sick and tired of this man. Wow. By his own people, his government was brought down. What does it tell you?
So are you saying they are tired of Wike or SIM? Which of them?
Wike. People are happy with Wike because the Rivers people now see him as a savior. Let me just, I know I'm veering off, but state something that's very important.
I'm a bit confused.
Mr. Kuruye.
We're a bit confused. I didn't get that part well.
Who are people happy with? SIM or Wike?
Allah is just a the governor. Rivers people, majority of Rivers people are in support of the governor.
Okay, that's according to your opinion as a private legal practitioner. Just making sure.
Let me ask your opinion as well. And so, in a situation like this, where the governor finds himself, you know, in this sort of situation, has there been any time it has happened in Rivers State? What did previous governors do, where there seemed to be someone that seemed to be had more power than the governor? And if there hasn't been any situation, what would you advise the governor to do so that they can bring peace and order back to Rivers State?
Okay, I can tell you there's been a similar situation like this when Rotimi Amechi was the governor of Rivers State. Then Wike was a junior minister under former President Goodluck Jonathan. You know, Honorable Rotimi Amechi had an issue with First Lady, the wife of former President Goodluck Jonathan, and it snowballed into a lot of things. And Wike also played a dangerous role because he was ambitious. He had an ambition to become governor in 2015. So now, when he made himself available to be used by some people who do not mean well for the state. So now, Wike at that time had some assembly members who were in support of their name. Some of them are no longer in support of him. They are even regretting. For instance, Honorable Vance Bibi, who is now the caretaker chairman of the local government, he supported Wike back in 2013, 2015, when the fight was on between Wike as minister and Rotimi as governor.
Okay.
But because Wike had the support of the federal government, and again, Rotimi Amechi conducted himself in such a way that Rivers people are no longer happy with him. Like he has disrespected the president then in a lot of ways. So Rivers people backed
Wike back then.
Are supporting the former president. So because of that, Wike prevailed. But however, the assembly was unable to impeach Rotimi Amechi because when Rotimi Amechi saw that, he quickly moved the House of Assembly into the government house and gave them a space to operate. You understand?
Yeah.
So those pro-Wike lawmakers, they could not come into the government house and try to impeach the governor. So Wike did not succeed then. He did not succeed.
So presently,
one second. Let me let Toko jump in here.
So I wanted to ask, it seems like there's always a case. Rivers, this is the style for Rivers. There's always back-to-back crisis whenever there is change in power. So when would the citizens of Rivers, based on the previous experiences, expect smooth sailing, good governance, less politicking to start within the state?
Okay, I believe this battle, this power battle, it will continue until when Wike is ready to stop, because Wike has an ambition in 2027. He wants to become president or in 2031. And I pray that Tinubu should be very careful of Wike, because Wike, he cannot trust Wike. Wike has
you are very opinionated about this matter, sir.
Okay, so I see, I mean, that's why I kept saying that it's your private opinion, and this is not has nothing to do with any party or any situation. But what my own issue is Nigerian people, because at the end of the day, it's about Nigerians, not about any party, any faction, and any group. And because, as Toko had said, this is almost like this thing has happened over years, and we've all kind of seen these stories play out and how it played out. There's always that hand of godfatherism, influence in River State. Yeah. Do you think, as a lawyer, that the people of River State are able to vote in leaders who can be less partisan and more focused about the people? Because the reason why I ask this is when lawmakers sit in and make laws, and then people try to implement the laws, and somebody says, no, you can't implement it because we're going to change the law. Why is it so difficult for people to respect a law that has been enacted by a legal entity? Because everybody in this party, they were all voted for. These are people who were actually put in there by they're representative of the people. So if the law says this law has been revoked, why is it so difficult for the people who are there as local government chairmen to excuse themselves, respecting the entity of the legislature? I don't. That's a problem for me. So is it that the kind of people are electing, are we sure of the kind of people are putting in office, and then are the Nigerian people who live in River State understanding the need of the right kind of leaders to lead them? I mean, I'm just confused, because this thing keeps happening over and over again. How do we get Nigerians in that state to understand the importance of the kind of leadership that we have? I don't know.
The problem is from the primaries. Normally, we have indirect and direct primaries. Now, these assembly members, or the local government, they were handpicked singularly by the former governor.
Oh.
So for that reason, they owe their loyalty to him. They don't even see what he's doing to the state. In their eyes, everything he's doing is right, because they want to continuously pledge their loyalty to him. So the problem is, from the moment when all the candidates are handpicked by the government, assuming you allow the party faithfuls in a direct lesser option, if it were possible, in a primary where those who are going to represent us at the National Assembly or State House Assembly or as local government chairman or council, if the people, we are allowed, party members, we are allowed to elect them, to vote for them, or as delegates, they voted for these people. You see that when they get to the National Assembly or the State House Assembly, they will be more responsible because they were handpicked solely by one individual. So they continue to vote.
There's been a lot of handpicking for years. I mean, it seems like a lot of people have been handpicked.
Are you saying there was no election during the primaries?
There should be the electoral should be amended to ensure that no single that every candidate for any particular election there must be primary must be seen to be conducted.
Okay, so I want to understand something. There was an election on 21st of April 2021 that brought in the local government chairman. There was an election. So when you say handpick, what do you mean?
Primaries.
March should be March. The election was in March.
Okay. March,
So how were they handpicked when there was an election?
What I'm saying is that they were handpicked. There was no primary. They were handpicked. They were handpicked by the governor. Don't you understand?
Yeah.
Well, for security reasons, but can there be security issues across?
What? Are you there? Can you hear us? Because the line seems to be breaking up. Okay. Because there's always this invisible hand. Like I've been hearing Wike, but Wike has not said anything concerning this in a while. I know a lot of people have been saying that he's the one behind it. We know but it is the invisible hand of Wike that has been always there. He has not officially responded. He has not really come out to say anything. Do you think him coming out to speak would help to douse the tension, or you rather him just stay behind and not even come out at all?
Yeah.
To come out to speak. In fact, he's the one using them. They are instruments in his hand. Understand? Now, look at what they are trying to do now. There is a plan by the outgoing government chairman and the assemblymen whose seats have been declared vacant. They are planning to organize a protest that the IG of police should direct the anti-riot police officers to leave the council secretariat so that they will be going in and occupy the council secretariat. And now, AGON, that is the Association of Local Government in Nigeria, the River State chapter, the chairman, which is Ishe Martin Ezebunwo, has come up to make a press statement that they are not in support of that. It is not for the interest. What they are targeting is that once they make protests, they would provoke the supporters of SIM, pro-SIM supporters, which is the majority of the people in River State, to respond. When they respond, that will break down of law and order. Okay. And that will move the president to declare state of emergency.
One last question from me. One last question from me. You seem to be, from your conversation, you seem to be in support of what Sim Fubara is doing, not Wike. Yeah. Why did you take this position? What were the things that aided your decision on siding Sim as against Wike?
Let me make myself very clear. I've been a supporter of Wike right from 2013, 2014 up to last year. I've been a supporter. In fact, I've been one of the persons who at all costs defend Wike. But where maybe if he does something obviously bad, I will just keep quiet. I will not talk. But I love him. Not because I'm a German, that's why I'm supporting Sim Fubara. Not because my leader, Alabama, who is the leader of the Sim government, is a French president governor. Because Sim is doing what is right for River State. Sorry, let me just a minute. Let me just say something very important. Remember when Wike was the governor of River State, our IGRO, Internal General Revenue, was around 10 to 20 billion every month. Now, when Sim became governor, the IGRO dwindled up to the point of 6 billion naira. Sim started asking questions, the linchpin of all this crisis. That is the beginning of all this crisis. I don't want to go into that so much. Now, Sim presently, whenever he's doing a transparency briefing, like when he Calabari Road, which worth more than 225 billion naira, the Trans-Calabari Road that no governor has been able to achieve. Same as that. And the interesting thing is that he said he's not going to borrow. It will be from our entirely generated revenue. And you know, that road is directly linking my mother's village, my village, to Port Harcourt. In fact, it's crossing from Port Harcourt to my village, Ugrama, where I was born and raised. Now, I'm not supporting him because he is crossing a bridge to my village. Now, why I'm supporting him is that, see, made us understand that as governor, the state is realizing the least we are realizing as
IGR.
Is what?
We lost that. We didn't get that.
The network is really
bad.
poor.
All right, so
What I was going to ask,
hear.
I wanted to ask, you know, that from the history that he gave us, it seems that it depends on, like in Rivers State, there's
They go with who is in power.
Yeah, they go with, you know, they go with who they like. There's the Constitution, and then there's Rivers State Constitution. So, like, if we're to think about, you know, many times we talk about local solutions to some of our issues. Do we think that Rivers State is ready for democracy and respect of the rule of law? Or do we think that there has to be some injection of local policies that is more familiar to the people, that will help them understand, you know, leadership and respect leadership? I don't know.
I don't think it's about who is in power. I think it's who benefits the masses more. Funnily enough, when Wike and Amechi had that fight, people were siding Wike. And by the time he left office, he already left projects that people were happy for. Even though right now, people are now tilting towards the present governor, because after Wike left, a lot of persons have seen some lacunas. They've seen that this man, maybe if he used 10 naira, do work, and then 15 naira. So Rivers people are saying, we don't want that godfatherism. You've done yours. The way you fought Amechi, Amechi went back, withdrew, and allowed you. You should allow this person to do his work and not interfere. Because your interference is affecting the masses. I guess. That's what
do you think Nigerians...
But that's the real thing, though. I feel that the consistency in Rivers is they don't want godfatherism.
No.
So they didn't want it with Peter Odili. They didn't want it with Rotimi Amechi. They don't want it with Wike.
No, but they wanted it under the
consistent.
Jonathan regime. That's what brought Wike.
No.
Yes, because there's a relationship, from what he said, there's a relationship with Wike and that administration, the presidency of that administration. So for me, I feel that there are institutions. There's the Constitution, and there are institutions and systems that we should follow. It should not be based on, I don't want Godfather. If the court says this, we have gone to court. The court has said this. Respect it. That's what democracy is about.
Yeah, I get.
But court will say one thing. It's as if the court is just you know, there's no respect.
You think Nigerians just like underdogs in this? Like Nigeria,
it's about who. Once they oppress you in Rivers, they will support you.
Exactly. So that's
the template. So when they oppressed Amechi, everybody supported Amechi. They oppressed Wike.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the Constitution. It's similar to what Mary says. It's not about the Constitution. It's about who is chancing who. You support the one that is being cheated. Yeah, that's really.
We won't even overrule the existence of ethnicity.
Is that going to be? Is that constructive? Is that going to help us to develop?
Based on the fact that the data the man just released now, IGR has dropped, and that's why I asked the question that when would they stop the politicking and start facing governance? Because we have this current governor demolishing houses, and I spoke to people in Rivers, and they say they don't mind though. You should demolish everything. I'm like, are you thinking about the fact that it is going to cost you the money that should go and give you basic things to rebuild these things? Why are you so unbothered about the fact that they are demolishing? They just feel like you should show the person, show them. If you want to demolish, they say right now, demolish everything you want.
Which is the same thing that happened during the elections. We just want someone to come and destroy all of them, you know, because we're in that destruction, we're in that mode of come and beat everybody, or come and lock them, you know, concern me, lock them up. Beat them up, because that's not what we're going to use to develop our nation. Yeah. That's how we get nation.
And in response to you, I say, should they stop the politicking and focus? But the people seem to enjoy the politicking.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what the people prefer.
We see always something. You have to give people what
that's what
not what they want. So we can all say, well, let's fight them. But you see, what you need is governance. What you need is leadership. They don't see that now. What they're saying, they don't let them chance you. Let us fight, don't let support you. But it's beyond that.
And the sad thing about this is the masses that suffers. When we talked about the 100 days in office by Sim, he said that he just started working 3 months ago. You know, that means you spent like 7 months or how many? Yes. About 8, 9. How many?
I have to pause you for a second. I'm told that our guest is back because we had lost it for a moment. Mr. Kuroya, are you still there? Hello, sir.
I can hear you, ma'am.
Sorry, we didn't know you were back already. So let me have your final words. We have to wrap up. What's your final word today on this topic?
My advice is to Wike, it is never too late to do the right thing. Wike should understand that there's this man who said, Louis said, G. Branches, he said the most important political office is that of the private citizens. Wike should understand that the majority of Rivers people are no longer with him. His interest is inimical to the interest of the state. He should understand that if he succeeds to have President Tinubu to declare state of emergency in Rivers State, and if it's eventually approved by the National Assembly, you should understand that Rivers people will suffer.
All right.
The governor will remain as legal consequences is that there will be restriction of movement, certain human rights will be violated.
All right, thank you very much. We have to wrap up now. We've been speaking with the legal practitioner, Mr. Dumotein Douglas Kuroye, just sharing his own personal views on the crisis going on in Rivers. That's all we can take on today's show. Hope you've learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.